The sea of thoughts does not look the same twice. This is not a quality I consider remarkable. I have crossed it nightly for longer than any calendar would meaningfully hold, and I have ceased expecting it to be the same sea I left. Some nights the surface is flat and cold, the kind of cold that has no memory of warmth. Some nights it churns. Tonight it is neither. It is still in the way that things are still when they are gathering, when the energy has gone inward and has not yet decided its direction. I cross it the way I always cross it, low, following the line between the water and whatever dark the water holds below. The wings carry me because carrying is what they do. I do not think about them. The way you do not think about breathing until breathing becomes a question. Below me, the islands of memory are lit. They are always lit. That is their nature. They hold what has happened, and what has happened does not go dark. I do not land on them. I never land on them. That is not a rule I was given. It is a rule I arrived at through understanding what I am, what I hunger for, and what landing would cost. I find him where I always find him. Waiting, which is the correct posture, ready without knowing what he is ready for, which is the only kind of readiness that counts for anything. I fold the wings. I sit. I do not explain why I have come again. He does not ask. We are past that. There are things I have seen that would take a lifetime to teach. Tonight I have brought him one secret, that the smallest beginning decides the end. Edward Lorenz was a meteorologist at MIT, and in 1961 he made an error so small it should not have mattered. He was running a weather model, a simulation of atmospheric behavior, a deterministic system. If you know where everything is and how fast it is moving, the mathematics tells you where it will be. That is what determinism means. The future is written in the present, if you can read it. Lorenz wanted to re-examine a simulation he had already run. To save time, he started it from the middle, entering the values the earlier run had printed out. He went for coffee. When he returned, the simulation had diverged wildly from its predecessor, not slightly, completely. The weather that had looked like one thing looked like nothing it had been before. He investigated. He found the error. The computer worked to 6 decimal places. The printout showed 3. What Lorenz had entered was 0.506 instead of 0.506127. The difference was 1 part in 1,000, less than the atmospheric disturbance of a butterfly's wing. The system was deterministic. Every cause had an effect. Nothing was random. Nothing was outside the mathematics. And yet, the weather would not repeat. What Lorenz understood, sitting with that printout, is what I am here to teach you. Determinism is not predictability. The future may be entirely contained in the present, every consequence written in every cause, and still be practically unknowable because the causes are never known with perfect precision. The imprecision compounds. It doubles and doubles again. Errors are not added, they are multiplied. A small wrongness at the beginning becomes an enormous wrongness at the end, growing faster than any calculation can chase it. The mathematics of this had been touched before Lorenz. Poincaré caught the edge of it working on the 3-body problem. 3 objects in gravitational conversation whose futures could not be solved in closed form. But it was Lorenz who found it in the weather, in something everyone looks out a window and observes. It was Lorenz who gave it the name that has since been badly sentimentalized, the butterfly effect. The formal term is sensitive dependence on initial conditions. What it means, in certain systems, and far more systems are such systems than the determinists would like, an infinitesimal difference at the start produces a vast divergence at the end. The system is not broken. The mathematics is not broken. The world is exactly as it should be, following every rule that governs it. And still, you cannot predict it. He is the door. Walk through it, and behind it you find the entire modern science of dynamical systems, the mathematical study of how things change over time. You find chaos theory proper, which I will teach you in stages, because you cannot hold the attractor before you understand the sensitivity, and you cannot understand the sensitivity before you understand what determinism actually means. For now, hold this. The system obeys. It always obeys. It is just that the obedience is so precise, so complete, so unforgiving of rounding that a fraction too small to see is enough to send it somewhere else entirely. I was there. I am not telling you this to establish credentials. I'm telling you this because it is the most economical way to make you understand the scale of what a small beginning produces. Bucephalus was a horse brought to a Macedonian court to be evaluated for purchase. He was black, large, trained, and no one could ride him. He shied from every man who tried. He threw them or refused them, and the handlers grew annoyed, and the king who owned the court was preparing to send the animal back as unfit. A boy watching from the edge noticed something. The horse was afraid of its shadow. Every time a rider approached, the horse faced the action, faced the watchers, looked down, found its shadow moving beneath it, and panicked at the moving thing. The boy was 12. He asked for the horse. The court found this amusing. The king found it worth a wager. The boy walked to the horse, turned it toward the sun, and rode it. What followed, I watched from where I stood, which was closer than the histories record, was 40,000 stadia of conquest: Egypt, Persia, the Hindu Kush, the Indus. The dreamer rode that horse until the horse died of age and wounds east of the Jhelum. And the grief was the kind that makes men build cities and name them after what was lost. A city called Bucephala, on a river at the edge of the known world. The empire that horse carried did not outlast its rider, but it broke the Persian Empire permanently. It dissolved the boundaries between Greek and Eastern thought in ways that shaped every philosophy you have ever read. It seeded the libraries that would survive at Alexandria. It rearranged the world sufficiently that what rose into the cleared ground afterward became something different than it would have been otherwise. One boy, one observation. The horse fears its shadow. Turn it toward the sun. An anchor does not tell you where it will land. It only tells you that it will. Find something small. Not dramatically small, genuinely small, the kind of small that a reader will not notice, a detail that sits in the corner of a scene and does nothing visible. A word spoken once, a gesture, a preference, an object carried, something that, at its introduction, reads as texture and not as mechanism. Plant it. Then build forward from it. Show me what it detonates. This is not Chekhov's gun. Chekhov's gun is announced in its construction. Every reader who knows the principle hears the gun when it appears on the mantelpiece. The gun is loud. I am asking for something quieter, something so small that only after it detonates does the reader feel the retroactive chill of understanding. It was always going to be this. Make the smallness the point. The size of the beginning is not incidental. It is the whole argument. If the beginning is large, you have written a cause. If the beginning is invisible, you have written the butterfly effect. Bring me the invisible wing. The secret I would not say, I have hidden in the saying.